Hey guys, what's going on? Crypto Clay here, and today we're going to be talking about Solana, and this is a project that has been in the news a lot lately for cryptocurrencies and digital assets, and that's because it has a very high throughput, which a lot of people are fascinated by the speeds and the transaction costs of this chain. It's also been in the news for a lot of disappointing reasons. The reason that I say that is because all of these brand new chains, all of the older chains, including Ethereum, are all trying to solve the scalability trilemma. And this was brought to the table by Vitalik Buterin himself, I think back in 2016, 2017, sometime around then. He basically proposed what the scalability trilemma was for blockchain technology, and that is the idea that a blockchain has to be scalable, meaning high throughput, fast transactions, low costs. It needs to be secure, meaning security needs to be top notch. We need to make sure that it can't be hacked or attacked with a 51% attack. And also, it needs to be decentralized. And the reason that that's important is because we don't want one power or one entity to control the blockchain itself. It needs to be decentralized, and everybody that is a part of the network feels like their voice is heard, essentially. The thing about this is most chains today have one or two of these solved, but not all three. There's not really any chain out there right now that I can say has solved all three of these issues. You take a look at, Tezos, which has the decentralized and secure aspects, but it's still not quite to the scalable solutions yet. You take a look at Ethereum, which is very decentralized and secure as well, not yet scalable. Then you have other projects like Harmony, which are scalable and secure, but not decentralized. And Solana is no different here. It basically is scalable, but we're not really sure if it's secure, and it's definitely not decentralized. We know that. And the reason that we know that is because it has actually had downtime in the recent past. I believe in September, it went down for a total of 17 hours. Any network that has downtime like that is not decentralized, because if it were decentralized, it would mean that the nodes that are still running would be able to pick up the blockchain and continue on, and the ones that go down, the nodes that go down, would not affect the network in its entirety. But that's not what we saw. We saw one of the major nodes on the Solana network go down, and the entire network went down for 17 hours. And before you Solana bros come in here and say, this is FUD, the network is fun, the network is fine, I just want to take you guys into a different perspective, because I've been in the market long enough to know that networks like this come and go. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the case with Solana. There are a lot of really interesting things that the Solana network brings to the table that I probably won't cover today. But the thing is I want you guys to realize what you're actually investing in when you invest in projects like this that try to go outside of the box and fix this scalability trilemma, or accomplish this scalability trilemma. One of the things that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention is this thread that I found on Twitter, and I'll read it to you guys. It says, in early April 2020, the Solana team stated that the total circulating supply was 8.2 million, when in reality, the total circulating supply was above 20 million, marking the start of a long series of lies, fraud, and deception by Sol. The following story is all based on verifiable evidence. As questions and critics started to pile up over the following weeks, the official moderators kept insisting that there was no extra circulating supply. Certain people grew more suspicious, especially as Solana failed to update their Binance info and CoinMarketCap profile. By the end of the month, an independent third party managed to find an unlocked Solana wallet containing 13 million tokens. Once the Solana team was fully exposed, they released a Medium article admitting to the fraud, explaining that these 13 million tokens were loaned to a market maker. They then promised to get those coins back and burn them within 30 days. On numerous occasions in the following weeks did the Solana team guarantee that they would not release any new coins into the market without first announcing it beforehand. On May 23rd, the Solana team announced that they were only able to retrieve 3.3 million coins out of the 11.3 million that they had loaned out. Instead, they released 8 million new SOL tokens into circulation in order to meet their commitment to burn without any announcement beforehand. The total circulating supply was now 16 million, double the supply promised in April. After this, they just moved on, not even publishing this release on any of their official announcement channels. This is just one example of a pattern of behavior exposing Sol's bad character. Now, I want to show you the top comment in response to all of this. I wake up every day angry about this. There's just too much Sol in this world and it isn't right. But then I remember I bought a bag in July and I feel better. So this is the current sentiment right here of a lot of these tokens that have done really well in the market. Most people do not care about the projects themselves. They don't care about the scalability trilemma. They don't care that it's not decentralized. All they care about is the money that they've made from that certain project. And that's totally fine. If that's your sentiment, go for it. If all you care about is making money in the short term, that's fine. But the problem with that mentality is if you're holding on to Solana thinking that it's only going to go up, I've got news for you. We've seen other projects that have promised decentralization in the future, and they've failed on their promises. And that project that I'm referring to is EOS. Back in 2017, there was this huge promise that EOS was going to be the next greatest thing that we had seen in the blockchain space. And unfortunately, they failed to deliver on those promises. They raised $1 billion in crowdfunding from early investors, and they were going to make the next big blockchain. Unfortunately, it didn't deliver on any of those promises that it was going to be decentralized, and you can see where that market cap is at now. It's way down from where it was at its all-time highs, and the market this year has been phenomenal. So you can see that all of those failed promises had a direct correlation to the price today. And I think that with projects like Solana, if they don't focus on those failed promises and actually commit to reshaping the blockchain and building what it is that they're trying to build, then it's going to suffer the same fate. Something else that I found from 23 days ago on the cryptocurrency subreddit, Solana Labs CEO, it doesn't really matter if the network goes down again. Let that sink in what kind of garbage Solana is. Quick take. In September, the Solana blockchain was swamped by transactions and ended up going offline for 17 hours. Solana Labs CEO Anatoly Yakovenko says that this is the only problem for those measuring in milliseconds. When asked what are the chances the network goes down again, Yakovenko replied, "I don't know. It doesn't really matter though." His argument went as follows: as long as there's at least one copy of the ledger, the funds are still safe and the transactions will eventually get processed. If you don't care how long a transaction takes to go through, then how much do you care that there's a 72-hour block? So basically, he was downplaying the downtime that the blockchain had and saying that it doesn't really matter how long if the chain goes down because the funds are safe. But that's not the issue here. The issue here is if we're shaping a landscape of digital assets and cryptocurrencies that are supposed to eventually take over cash, which it might not be anytime soon, but if that's the goal here, if the goal is to create a ledger system that will eventually take the place of cash and credit cards and things like that, then how are we supposed to do that if we have a system that goes down for 17 hours and people can't transact for 17 hours? That makes it impossible. And at that point, we might as well just go back to cash. Now, obviously, this is only one incident. I haven't found any other downtime on the Solana network, but this is a big deal, and this can't go unnoticed. For those of you that have invested in Solana and you don't really care about any of this, you absolutely should, because your investment might depend on it. Nobody wants to touch a network that isn't aiming to be decentralized in the blockchain space. That's one of the most important factors of a blockchain. You have those three factors. If you can't define and register that those three things are important, the scalability, the security, and the decentralization, then you're going to have a mess on your hands. So in my eyes, Solana is not in a place right now where it's a valid investment. And this is not financial advice. I'm not saying go out and sell all of your Solana. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying these are the things that you really need to take a look at and dive into when looking at these things as investment avenues. So keep that in mind. If you are invested in Solana and you haven't looked into these things, I highly encourage you to do a little bit more digging and research into the project, into the people behind the project, and see if it's something that you're still willing to throw your money into. There are a lot of great projects out there, and there's a lot of really interesting things that are coming out of the blockchain space, like Metaverse, DeFi 2.0, a lot of really, really fascinating projects. So keep your eye out on those, and that's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching. Crypto Clay out.